tragedy. A mother of 2-year-old triplets murdered, police say, by their father. Let's get right out to Steve Keeley.
Well, not as tragic as police feared, because they thought maybe he harmed those 3 kids, and they have just found them safe with a friend. So here is video we got, told by law enforcement sources that that friend in Lansdale, and we just saw what appeared to be grandparents with a Mercedes-Benz and 3 child seats, like they are used to traveling with these little guys. 2 boys and a little girl, triplets, 2 years old, all safe in the back of this car, getting escorted by Lansdale police to a safe spot and not harmed at all. And so here is the story if you're just joining us. Police learned that Stanley Baptiste, who is 37 years old, had gone to the mother's house where the kids were on Hayes Street in Philadelphia. The mother was found shot several times in the face and head and killed. Then police put out an endangered persons bulletin for him and those 3 kids, and a lookout for his Lincoln Navigator. Then they initially went up to Lansdale because that's where he has an apartment. So they were in that area. They didn't know that he had dropped the kids off with a friend, but they then spotted him. The Philadelphia police helicopter and police on the ground spotted him driving on Valley Forge Road, which they later learned was less than a mile from where he just dropped off the kids. And as they're trying to get him to stop, he doesn't stop. Then his vehicle slows down, then comes to a stop. They take their time because they think maybe the kids are in the car. They know he has a gun from the shooting, and they approach slowly, and they see him slumped over the wheel. They actually looked from a 2nd-story building nearby because they needed to get a close look, get eyes on him without setting him off and maybe doing something wrong to the kids. But when they go up to the vehicle, they realize he shot himself dead, but the kids are not in the car. So then state police, at the urging of Philly police, put out another bulletin looking for the kids, and they later learned they're at their friend's house in Lansdale. He was shot and killed on Valley Forge Road, which was less than a mile away from where these kids were found safe. So as bad as the story is, with these kids going to grow up later learning that mother was shot and killed, father killed himself, it'll be a sad reminder for these 2 little boys and their little sister, all who would probably be closer forever than they could already be after this turn of events with their parents, now culminated last night with her murder and his suicide.
Some breaking news that we've been following for you out of North Philadelphia this morning, where a man, we're told, was shot 7 times outside of this mini mart in Germantown. Well, we just got an update from police, and they say the victim was actually trying to burglarize the home above the store when somebody inside of that home shot that person. This happened on the 2700 block of Germantown Avenue just after 4:30 this morning. Right now, the man who was shot is at Temple University Hospital. We're working to get an update for you about his condition. As soon as we get more information, of course, we'll pass that along to you.
Philadelphia Water Department worker in the hospital this morning after they were shot outside of a store in Mayfair. This morning, police are still searching for a suspect.
It's kind of scary.
A shooting leaves 2 men injured, one of them a Philadelphia Water Department employee.
It can happen to anyone, and you know, wearing a uniform, who you work for, what your socioeconomic background is, it doesn't matter. If someone's looking to commit a crime, to do harm, it can happen.
Police say the 25-year-old city worker left the Mayfair Market and was standing on Vista Street when he and another victim were struck. It happened just before 1 o'clock Wednesday afternoon.
Any way you look at it, this is just a tragic situation, and we're fortunate that it wasn't worse.
According to reports, the city employee was hit in the leg while the other victim was shot in the chest. The city employee then drove them both to Jefferson Torresdale Hospital, where the 31-year-old victim was listed in critical condition.
Yeah, that really surprised me. Say about an hour ago, like you said, in the afternoon.
Residents near the crime scene noticed bullet-riddled cars and crime scene tape blocking the market's entrance. They say, unfortunately, it's a scene they've seen before.
For the last couple of years, it's been getting more and more. Be careful. Be smart. Be careful. Try not to make yourself a target.
Philadelphia police have not released information on a suspect or a motive. Anyone with information on this is asked to contact them.
About a grim milestone for Philadelphia. The city has reached 500 homicides for the 2nd year in a row, and this comes as there were 3 double shootings in the span of 12 hours.
Let's get right out to Steve Keeley, because there is some things that are happening right now. They had a news conference yesterday, Steve.
Yeah, but the negative is still happening. Look at this video. So this happened at 2:07 this morning. So they can talk all they want and try all they can to stop the violence, but it's still going on. So this is a couple, a woman 24 years old, guy 22. They're in this Dodge SUV right at Jackson and Brill. That car is just beyond that corner because they flew to try to avoid being killed. 16 shots go through the driver's door and the passenger door. The woman in the driver's seat is hit on the left side, and the 22-year-old male in the passenger seat also hit in the left arm. He gets out, but they find 16 shells back at the corner there. In the latest violence, these two somehow survived, but somebody was out to kill them, and probably is surprised that they didn't after firing 16 shots point blank into that car at 2:07.
I'm 51. I've been living in the city all my life. I'm not the best guy, but it's worse than I ever seen it.
With all the efforts we've been making, policing and with the community intervention, is beginning to turn the curve down in another direction. I do believe that obviously this is not anywhere near where we want to be, but I will argue that back a number of years ago, 299 was too high, 199 is too high, 250 is too high, 300 is too high. One's too high, but I do believe that the efforts we've been making and will continue to make and expand will continue to drive that curve down.
We not only expect visibility, but we want people out of their cars. We want people out and engaging. We want officers connecting with those in the neighborhoods so that we can be there to either prevent a crime or make arrests in a very timely manner.
In Montgomery County, the incident happened at Upper Moreland High School on Tuesday night. Visiting boys basketball team from Cheltenham reportedly found the images written on a dry erase board in the visiting locker room. Upper Moreland School District officials say the incident does not represent the school community and that non-discrimination is a focus across all schools, classrooms, and facilities.
And breaking news now, police say that they have just arrested a suspect wanted for shooting a Philadelphia parking authority worker. Police have been looking for Tremaine Salisbury since the shooting happened last month. He was also wanted for shooting a gas station worker in New York City. The PPA worker who was shot is now recovering.
Breaking right now, captured after a manhunt. U.S. Marshals arresting the armed and dangerous suspect who was wanted in that ambush shooting of a PPA officer. Do you remember this video? Well, the man also accused in a similar attack in the Bronx. Shawnette on the scene. Officers found him in an abandoned house.
Yeah, Jason, and investigators tell me they believe he had been in that house for possibly up to a week. They captured him after getting credible information that he was actually in West Philly. These pictures provided by the U.S. Marshal's Office today show a man they say was armed and dangerous and on the run, being taken into custody tonight. Investigators were led to this abandoned house at 5534 Girard Avenue in West Philly, where they say 39-year-old Tremaine Salisbury came to the window when they announced they were there for him. They say it took about 30 minutes of negotiating before they were able to arrest him around 5 o'clock. Investigators say Salisbury was wanted for the attempted murder of PPA officer Timothy McKenzie, seen in this surveillance video. He was shot on the 4500 block of Frankfort Avenue on November 25th. NYPD was looking for him in a similar shooting of a gas station clerk in the Bronx days before. Both shooting victims survived. And investigators say he had parole violations in Pennsylvania and was on parole at the time of the shootings. Tonight's arrest wrapped up 72 straight hours of a concentrated search from North Philly to West Philly. They don't believe Salisbury had any connections to the house. Investigators say it was abandoned and an opportunity. They believe he had been there for the past few days, possibly up to a week, based on things inside at the time of the arrest. Tonight, Philly police guarded the house waiting for a search warrant in case a weapon may be inside, although they don't believe so. And U.S. Marshals also tell me that tonight they arrested the suspect's cousin at that very same location, but on unrelated charges, Jason.
In the last 24 months, Steve, how big a number?
170. And
Wow.
that shocked me. And it has curtailed. We've had 2 this month, and it has curtailed because word got out, according to one of the leaders with the task force from the ATF and Philadelphia Bomb Squad, that federal prosecutors were taking these cases. And that meant the people that were getting convicted of this were getting convicted of such a serious crime that borders on the serious crimes for terrorism, using weapons of mass destruction. That is an F1 felony, and one guy that blew up 6 ATMs got a 35-year sentence. So as word spread, the guys that were holding all those M1000 explosives that we heard so many of, especially in 2020, said, maybe I don't want to get caught doing this. But they've already got video from this. They did not get cash from this machine again, because as the machines were getting blown up, the people that make the machines were figuring out a way to make them stronger and tougher, so when somebody does something like this, they don't get to the cash box, which is the strongest part of the ATM. So it's usually the keyboard, and you always see the paper receipt and the roll, and that's all you get. So nobody's going to make any money with a receipt roll of paper. So where we are is Market Square in Chestnut Hill, and the investigators say they're coming to these banks because these banks have a more wealthier clientele and they carry more money in their ATMs. So you've got a Citizens Bank on one side with an ATM within the wall next to the door. Also, both the Wells Fargo and Citizens Bank have drive-through ATMs, but he picked this standalone ATM, figuring that would be the weakest. And we saw one of these Wells Fargo standalone ATMs on 2nd Street about a year ago, blown apart. And we remember seeing the cash all burned up in that one because the cash became a victim in this. So Market Square, Acme down the street, here in this thing right across the street from the post office. It woke up people beyond Chestnut Hill. The 911 dispatchers got calls from miles away at 4 a.m., some reporting they heard as many as 3 explosions. That may have been just echoing, but people heard this and felt this that don't even live in Chestnut Hill. Fortunately, nobody killed, and you see the investigators here once again looking at this case, and you've got the arson team, you get the fire marshal here from Philadelphia Fire Department, along with that task force made up of people with the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Office in Philly and the Philadelphia Police Bomb Squad. So here we go again, days before Christmas, Mike. I think somebody needed some cash for some last-minute shopping and did not get it, and now they fear maybe they'll try to get it at another machine somewhere else. And this has been an ongoing thing for the last 10 weeks. People have actually been stealing the entire ATM machines. And why do they do that? Because the machines that are in businesses like a convenience store or a restaurant don't have the fortification, because they're usually figured that it's going to be secure since they're in a business. But guys are going in with guns, holding up the store, and carrying or dragging out the ATM. So the ATMs, the first letters in that, always targeted, you could say, because that's been going on for a while now.
Do you think in this particular case